transpersonal model, we believe that human activity may be perceived from the beyond personal perspective, if only we can use our own imagination to get there. But there is one condition. First, we must be detached from our ego. You surely know this mechanism, where we can clearly see the other people's problems' solutions, while the same issues seem to be unsolvable just because they are ours. Transpersonal model offers us several tools, allowing us to use our own imagination to look at ourselves like we look at the others. Being detached from our ego, we gain the ability to see the solutions we have never noticed before. This kind of self-perception is not only popular among the modern researchers like Assagioli, Maslow or Whitmore. It has also been present in the ancient Eastern systems like Bon, created in Tibet long before Buddhism. The number of psychologists, therapists and clinicians interested in transpersonal model is still growing. They prove to be very helpful and efficient wherever there are patients struggling with psychological issues. With transpersonal model, our task becomes much easier and quicker. There are 7 transpersonal axes we must take into account within this model. The first of them is the axis of time. We believe that using our own imagination, we can create a timeline with various personalities assigned to specific periods or events. This is how we get several personalities, past, present and future ones, possessing different amounts of knowledge, experience, skills and awareness. The older personalities appearing at the future parts of the timeline must be more experienced and possess wider knowledge than their earlier counterparts. It makes them great teachers for our current selves. There are many things I know about today, while I knew nothing about them 10 years ago. If I had only known about them before, I would have never done all these mistakes. I can learn from my past personalities about what I shouldn't do. But isn't it amazing that we can also learn from our future selves? Imagine yourself in a 10 years' time and ask this imaginary personality about what you should do today. Probably you get the detailed answer, what you should do and what you should avoid if you don't want to get stuck halfway. There is an entire system of communication between the personalities on the axis of time, so we can not only get the hints impossible to get beyond the transpersonal model, but we can also solve many problems imprinted into us in the early childhood and bothering us from then on. What a great weapon against the monsters like the inner critic or the perfect clone, with its demands impossible to be met, or the helpless personality popping up in the most inconvenient moments of our life. The second axis is where our relationships are being placed at. Why should something external, like interpersonal relations, be solved at the inner transpersonal plane? Well, actually, all of our relationships start inside our heads. This is where we decide about how we perceive the other people and build their images. These images are always biased because of being filtered by our ego. Within transpersonal model, we believe that our relations are never between two people. Instead of people, there are several images made by us interacting with each other. Starting a relationship, we start building the images of ourselves and our partners. We call them avatars. There is no relationship between John and Sophie, but there is a relationship between the image of Sophie made by John and the image of John made by Sophie. And there is much more than this. There are two other avatars. One is made of John's ideas of himself and one is made of Sophie's ideas about herself. So we have a system consisting of two people and four images. We call it a hexagon of relations and use it to solve many of conflicts having their origins in the differences between various images we make. What John thinks about himself is much different to what Sophie thinks about him. The same rule applies to John's opinion about Sophie and her own opinion about herself. Within transpersonal model, we quickly solve their conflict through verification of these images. What an amazing and simple tool we can use to heal our relationships. The third axis is devoted to the roles we keep playing according to Erwin Goffman's theory, whenever there is someone watching us. Playing certain roles, we behave and talk like the people we are pretending to be. More or less successfully, we play the roles of businessmen, fathers, managers, wives, bosses or mothers. But transpersonal model adds another factor. To play a role, it is enough to behave and talk like the person we play. But building a personality takes thinking like these people do. Only then we can create a personality with its own resources we can use. At this axis, we look at ourselves as the personalities possessing specific values, needs, duties to do, and expecting various regards. Between these personalities is the space where most of our conflicts are being born. Solving them is possible only if we can look at the personalities as the separate beings we are no longer attached to. Being impartial transpersonal moderators, we can find the compromise, respecting each personality's values, needs, duties, and rewards. Impartiality is the key. Without it, one of personalities will always try to take control over the entire system, and this is definitely not good for us. Axis number 4 is where we see the personalities we made through the prism of propulsive system. The difference between the motivation toward and outward is vital, as this is where our motivational problems start. We are usually driven by the first option. There is a goal we want to achieve. In 1980s, they claimed that this goal should be huge and difficult as it keeps us motivated. Today, we know it is not true. Trying to tackle enormous problems, we often lose, and the aspectic illusion of happiness turns into the worst of our demons. What we get instead of happiness is just a promise of it. Moreover, we start believing that we may be only happy after achieving a goal located somewhere out there in the future. Transpersonal axis of motivation proves that we actually are the combination of two personalities, active and passive one. The former is always motivated to work, while the latter is unmotivated and unready to act. Instead of judging them, we should draw upon their resources, and trust me, there is a lot they have to offer. The fifth axis shows the level and the direction of our consciousness development. We believe that our personalities are at various levels of consciousness, determining their approach toward issues like diversity, trusting the higher self, or being in contact with the spiritual world. There are different orders of consciousness level. We know about them from the research made by Claire Graves, who told us about the waves of existence, or Don Beck, who discovered the self streams. There are other theories too, and also many of them it is vital to see the key pattern in the dynamics of our consciousness development, as it means being able to understand specific problems through the prism of level of consciousness at which these issues are being born. On this transpersonal axis, the solution is always located at the level higher than the level where its origin is, so as the help comes from above. This is where we, the transpersonal model specialists, should already be, having made the same amazing journey into the depths of our consciousness we are now offering to our clients. The sixth axis explores our ability to build a coherent archetypes. It means building a personality in a manner available only at the creation level. Personalities we autonomously create at this stage make genuine, coherent, and efficient archetypes. Being complete, credible, and true, such personality is able to gain the other people's trust, while still remaining adequate to the client's predispositions, talents, and traits. Work at this axis doesn't mean finding and solving problems. It is all about building. But first, we must detect and overcome all the manifestation of incoherence or the areas incompatible with the transpersonal I. What we do at this level is working on the meaning of our actions taken through the entire lifetime. It is about finding our mission, the sense of proper and meaningful existence, and building the set of traits and attributes which will make an infinite source of our energy, being also a sort of roadmap for our further activities. At this axis, we interestingly change the entire system and redefine our previous self-perception. Axis number 7 means the return to the spiritual level, where, according to the several ancient conceptions, we must go through vital processes of separation and reconnection. The first of them is a necessary condition for regaining control over the separated parts. The maker can only manage his work if he doesn't believe that he is the work. We never care about our own car as much as we care about the rented one. Looking this way at our own emotions, body, mind, or material issues, we become able to manage them once again. Now we are aware and responsible users. This is like putting our thoughts, emotions, body and mind on an imaginary table and look at them through the eyes of impartial but thoughtful manager. Then we can see every single crack, every mismatch and the smallest of flaws. Suddenly we realize why some of our actions just can't bring expected results. And only then we can move to another process, namely reconnection. Reconnection means regaining unity of our body, mind, emotions and thoughts, but now the form will be much different, better suited to fulfill its function. The model of separation and reconnection is present in all the traditions and religions. However, here we consider it only as the psychological and sociological mechanism helping us to manage our own existence. Transpersonal model consistently gain trust among therapists, clinicians, and all the other specialists helping people struggling with the problems overwhelming them. It's much more than just another tool fixing malfunctioning system. It combines psychological individual perception of self with sociological relations-based approach. Shortly, we may say that psychology is interested in the monologue spoken by an actor on the stage, while sociology focuses on dialogues between the actors. Meanwhile, transpersonal models' area of interest is the inner dialogue taking place inside of us. As Nietzsche used to say, I and me are always too deeply in conversation. But there is still more to explore. Although the first 3 or 4 axes are devoted to solving our problems, the further we look into this model, the more we see that is the proper path of human development. It points us in the right direction and guides through our lifetime, consistently building its meaning, fulfillment, and permanent satisfaction. Finally, it opens the door to the genuine integration with our deepest spiritual I. This is up to us if we want to walk through this door.